today we're going to be doing a simple harmonic analysis of Prelude number 20 by Chopin using Roman numeral analysis. So this is a great piece to do something like this with because it's pretty short, it's extremely beautiful, and the language is mostly chordal. So analyzing this is rather straightforward. Before we get started, let's quickly go over some of the symbols that we'll be using. So, of course, Roman numerals, lowercase and uppercase. Lowercase for minor, uppercase for major. When it's a seventh chord, we'll always label that. And when the chord is in inversions, we'll also label that. So for triads, first inversion is labeled as 6. Second inversion with a 6-4. With seventh chords, the first inversion will be labeled with 6-5. Second inversion, 4-3. And third inversion with a 4-2. With secondary dominant chords, we'll write in 5/ whatever chord this chord is a 5 of. A diminished chord is with a circle, and a half diminished, a circle with a slash. And certain specialty chords such as augmented sixth chords or Neapolitan sixth chords have their own symbols. Next, we're going to take a look at the key signature as well as the bookends of the piece in order to find out the key. We see 3 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, which tells us we're either in E flat major or C minor. And if we look at the first and last chords, they're both conveniently C minor in this case. So we'll go with C minor. And when we're identifying each chord, what we do is we take the lowest most note, keep that in place, and take all of the other pitches and stack it on top in the most efficient way. So C, E flat, G, which spell out minor 1, C minor. So now let's go measure by measure and analyze what's going on. Minor 1, lowest most note here is F. The pitches we see and hear are F, A flat, C, E flat, and those 3 make up the minor 4/7 chord. Here, what is this? This is simply a 5/7 chord with an accented passing chord / passing notes. So these are dissonant tones within this context, which resolve into the chord tones. So we're just going to label this as 5/7. Back to minor 1. Now the next measure, this seems like a standalone cadence. So instead of labeling it within the key of C minor, the practical thing to do will be to shift keys. And here, if we don't shift keys, it'll be major 6, 4 of 6, 5/7 of 6 to 6. So instead of having all of those of 6s, we're just going to say A flat major. So major 6 is now our major 1 in the key of A flat. 1, 4, 5/7, again, we have notes that resolve into the chord, and 1. And since that is just a brief tonicization, we're going to come back to C minor. And we know that with our next chord, which is a 5/7 in the key of C minor again. And here, we have a C dominant 7th chord, which is a 5/4. How do we know this? Because having an altered 1 chord and turn it into a major 1/7 chord in this context does not make any sense. Instead, if we follow the movement of these chords, and just take a look at those 3 chords, we're arriving at the F minor chord. So these chords that are preceding the F minor chord have something to do with the F minor chord. So 5/7 of 4. 5/7, 5/7 of 4, 4, minor 4, to major 1, and that's been altered. Here I have this Google image pulled up just with the score, and it actually has an E flat, but I'm pretty sure it's an E natural. So if you come across an E flat, it may be a different edition because Chopin had a lot of editions floating around, or it could be a mistake. But to my knowledge, this has always been an E natural. Moving on, 5/7 of 5 to 5. So a D, F sharp, A, C. Spell out a dominant 7th chord, and that is the 5 of G, which is the 5 chord. 5/7 of 5 to 5, and another 5/7 of 5 to 5. So now the first 4 measures, we've arrived to 5. Moving on, this is minor 1. Here we have our first inversion. So our lowest note is still in place. Let's stack the pitches in an efficient manner. So C, E flat, A flat. So what are these pitches? This is an A flat major chord. We know this because if we find the arrangement of these notes so that all the notes are stacked by thirds, that will be A flat, C, E flat. And that is 1 inversion away. So this is our first inversion, major 6 chord. So minor 1, major 6, and we'll put that first inversion sign, 6. Let's look at these 2 chords together. This is really a passing chord, but if we want to label it, you can label it as a 7 diminished 7. Resolving into a minor 5 chord. So not a major 5 chord here, but a minor. So moving on, this chord here with an A natural in the bass, this is functionally, it's a passing chord. All of these chords here, they're all providing tension while reaching this chord. So this is a passing chord, but to label it specifically, I'll call it a raised minor 6. So instead of A flat, A natural, minor 6 half diminished 7th. So that E flat here is not present, but it's pretty much implied. So it's not a regular minor 7th chord. So it'll be a half diminished 7th chord going into this chord here, which is another chord that seems quite out of place. What is this chord? This is a French augmented 6 chord, and it's a predominant chord. So it'll be followed by, usually it's followed by a 1/6/4 chord, which goes to 5/7 and then 1. But in this case, it goes directly to the 5 chord. So rather than going into all of the details behind augmented 6 chords, which you can find in another video that I put out just about augmented 6 chords, we're just going to move on. So this is a French augmented 6 chord, 5, which turns into a 5 third inversion. How do we know it's in third inversion? Well, the lowest most note is F, which is the 7th chord, or the flat 7 of G. If we take G7 up inversions, the inversion with the F on the bottom is third inversion. So we'll label that as 5/4/2. Moving on, a 1 first inversion, minor 4. This is a first inversion 5 chord resolving into minor 1. Looking at the last 4 measures, here we have A flat, so our major 6 chord, and then we have D flat major, which in the key of C minor could be 4 of 6, but we're not going to label it that way. This is really a Neapolitan chord, which is usually a Neapolitan 6 chord. It's usually in first inversion, but here it's in root position. But it's usually at a cadential point like this. And we're not staying in A flat, so we're not going to analyze it that way. This is simply a cadence with a Neapolitan chord. So major 6, Neapolitan, 5/7 to 1. And the following 4 measures are the same as the previous 4 measures. So hopefully that made sense. I tried to not skip as many steps, but obviously we just went through all of the chords. If you have any more questions, let me know. And if you have any other suggestions as to what pieces you'd like to see me analyze in this fashion, also let me know. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.